Have you ever felt like you've been stuck on a good idea? Like you took all this time fleshing it out, crafting a plan, figuring out how you would spend, and maybe perhaps you even spend some money. And now, because you've gotten better information, you are feeling the tension of letting go of that good idea. Well, that's where I was recently, and that's why I decided I'm going to make a video and talk to you about the tension that I was going through, because it's going to help you get over it a lot faster than I did. Let's get into it. Well, as you know, I am Coach Jenelle, and I help high-level achievers, leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs reclaim their time, energy, and their focus so that they can build lives and businesses they love. So in this video, we're going to unpack something that I recently went through, and it sucked. It sucked big time. But it's really important that you understand so that you don't make this mistake again. So let's get into it. So this is a thing, right? This is a thing. I really want you. I'm looking for my notes, by the way. So these videos are not going to look polished, and if you want them to look polished, that's okay, but I'm just a human being, right? Doing videos. So this is what I noticed. So there are some times that you come up with a really good idea. Like, it's like really, really good. And when you first get the idea, there's nothing in your brain that says it's not going to work. Because based on the information that you have, this idea makes sense. So you decide you're going to pursue the thing, right? And somewhere along the line in the pursuit, you start, number one, becoming a new person. Number two, getting new information. One of the things one of my coaches taught me, and his name is Coach Darius Daniels, and he said, don't be committed to bad decisions. If you realize a decision you had been making was bad, is at that time you have to turn back around and say, no, I'm not so sure this is the right choice to make. But I was struggling, right? Even though cognitively, I knew that the decision was no longer a good one, there was something lurking beneath the surface for me. Do you want to know what that is? The emotional attachment I had to that decision. I had an intense emotional attachment to that decision. And I realized that although cognitively you would know that a decision is no longer good to make, the emotions you attach to it, whether it be emotions of shame, whether it be emotions of guilt, whatever it is, those emotions can really, really keep you stuck from actually changing course or changing direction. Now, I decided to do a little research, and there were 10 reasons, right? Entrepreneurs struggle to release good ideas. And I want to list out these reasons for you, and I want you to actually think while I'm listing them out. Is this me? What are the reasons that I struggle to let go of good ideas when I have better information? So number one, emotional attachment. And that was me, right? Because you've invested so much emotionally. You're so passionate about that particular audience. You're so passionate about that particular coaching program. You're so passionate about that hire, right? That has now turned out to be bad and is literally costing you thousands of dollars to keep them on staff. You're so passionate and you're so emotionally attached to that person because you saw them grow over the last several years. You don't want to let that hire go. It could sink your entire business. Number two, sunk cost fallacy. So you see things as a loss if you were to let it go. I've already invested 24 hours. I've already invested $10,000. I've already invested $10 million in this. Why would I let it go? We're going to get to that because this is really the one I want to really deal with in this video. That sunk cost fallacy. I was also there. Number three, you just have a fear of missing out. You think someone else will take the idea, so you are just clutching it to your chest and you're saying to yourself, I must execute, I must execute, I must execute. Somebody's going to steal this from me, I must execute, right? Number 4, perfectionism. So you want to make it work to match your standards. The idea has to work because it has to match my standards. So if this is like a low level idea and I'm a high level person, like as we are, I'm a high level person, I'm going to take this low level idea and I'm going to bring it up to where I am. Really? Next point. Lack of clarity. So you don't know what actually aligns with your goals. So you're not really clear, and that's why you keep holding on to something that you need to release. Over identification with potential. So you fall in love with the idea of what could be that you lose sight of what is. You fall in love with the idea of what could be that you lose sight of what is. Next one, control and certainty bias. So because the familiar is safer and that idea is familiar to you, you do not want to release it, because it means releasing it means that you're going to have to what? Accept the unknown. What do I do if I don't have this good idea? What do? I don't have a backup idea. So I have to hold on to this good idea, although it's not really good, because I don't have a backup idea, right? The next one, ego and external pressure. So you don't want to look like you gave up. Now that's connected to the first one, which is emotions, right? Because if you feel shame and you feel guilt, you felt like you gave up, or maybe you overestimated something that you shouldn't have reached for. And the last one I want to describe, I have 2 more, confusing discomfort with misalignment. You can't tell if it's hard because it's wrong or because it's stretching you. Again, I've been here because I'm like, okay, is this a stretch or is this me reaching for something I'm not yet prepared for? Am I stretching or am I reaching for what I'm not yet prepared for? Because they're 2 completely different things. Next one, capacity blindness. So you underestimate how limited your time, energy, and focus really are. So you keep putting that time, that energy, and that focus, something that's already finite, into an idea that's never going to work anyway. Now, let me tell you a personal story. So I'm a coach, as you know. And there was a group of people I was committed to, right? And if you watch my YouTube channel, you would see me talk to that group of people, right? I was talking to non-starters. And so I curated this coaching program for non-starters. Now, my business coach was talking to me one day and he said, you're trying to sell to people who won't buy. Now, I had calls with people, right? And their mindset could tell me that how I wanted to help them, I would have too many mindset barriers to overcome just to 1, help them, and 2, be able to profit financially helping them. Because it's okay to want to help people, but our business is not a charity, and you'd always hear me say that. And that is not me saying don't help people. That's me saying understand that at some point you have to draw the line between business and free help, right? Nice. So that was my dilemma. Now, when he told me, my mind violently rejected what he was saying because I had put effort into it before. And I was so committed to helping this group of people move from stuck to unstoppable so they could profit with peace. Now, my slogan didn't change. It's still stuck to unstoppable. But who I help get unstuck is different, because when you speak to a certain level of people, a certain level of problem solving produces a certain level of reward. So when you produce solutions for people who are lower level, people who have not achieved anything at all, what ends up happening to you is that you would find yourself stuck in a rut, because one of their big problems is payment. One of their big problems is follow through and commitment. And that's just too many barriers, right? Nice. So I struggled to pivot away from that idea because I was so passionate about helping this group of people, but I had to realize, listen, take the loss, salvage what you can from the program, and create a program for people who could, 1, pay, People who are committed, because when people pay, they are committed. When people don't pay, sometimes they're not committed. I'm not going to say always, but sometimes they're not committed. And so I had to rearrange and shift and change that for an audience that would want to hear me, but also to reward the value that I was giving to them. Now, this is the thing, because we're talking about energy leaks. This is one of the areas where my energy was leaking in business, because I had created something that would not work for the audience I wanted to help. Now, this is what I'm noticing. Sometimes you have to separate your desire from the reality. So you may want to keep that person, that virtual assistant. You may want to keep that CPA. But I'm telling you, separate the emotion from the reality and your energy wouldn't leak. It may seem like a good idea, but with more information that the CPA cannot take your company to a higher level of revenue, what are you going to do? Yes, you were committed to them for the last 4 years in business, but now you have to make a pivot. You have to make a turn, and you have to be willing to detach to make a turn. And one of the greatest things that we struggle with is that sunk cost fallacy. What you've already invested, you think is going to go to waste. If you turn, if you pivot, if you hire someone else, if you restructure the business, that's not necessarily true. If you stay stuck where you are, then you are really going to experience a catastrophic loss. So sometimes you have to take the L, as we say it. You have to take that loss now so that you can have a further gain when it is necessary. So every ounce of energy you spend trying to resuscitate an expired idea is energy you are not investing in what actually moves you forward. Every ounce. I invested so much energy and I was not putting it in the things that would actually catapult me. And let me tell you, I'll tell you all the things I did, right? I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself because I'm so excited to talk about this, because this is where I was. So better information doesn't always produce better decisions, because we resist grieving what we need to release. And I'm telling you, have you processed the grief of letting that go? Have you processed the grief of letting go of that decision? Have you processed it? Again, there are so many areas of my life, even outside of business, because here, I help you build what? A life and a business you love. And I'm telling you, even in relationships, right? You're struggling to let people go because you have to grieve it. But you have to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And one thing I've been learning is that what I'm struggling with in business is somehow mirrored in my personal life. I've learned that the business and my personal life are mirrors. They're a mirror image. So if you see something in your personal life, think about that train of thought. Think about that mindset and that emotion you're struggling with, and see where in your business that is bleeding out. Because I'm telling you, your business and your life are a mirror. And that's one of the reasons I don't separate the business and life, because I realize there is no separation. Let's continue. So think about it. You are preferring to expend energy on what's safe rather than generate energy by reaching for what's greater. But safety doesn't mean scale. Alignment does. So you're going to have to align with the very things that you're resisting. You're going to have to align, right? So this is the $1 million question. How do you know it's time to release? How do you know? Well, I want to give you 4 questions, right? And these were the questions that I had to ask myself at somewhere along the path. Does the path you are still on take you to the goal faster? It's a really, really serious question. Does the path you are on take you to the goal faster? And so it implies then that you are aware of what the goal is. Because for it to take you along a particular path, right, It has to take you there faster. You don't just want a pathway that leads you to the goal. You want a pathway that leads you there faster. If you've ever driven and you've used Waze or Google Maps, right? They would chart alternative routes for you because they want you to get to your destination faster. So there are many routes that could get you to the goal. But one of the things you may have to prioritize if you want to reclaim time is the faster route. Now, that's not the only question, please, because I don't want you just saying, well, this one is going to get me there in 5 months, but you end up forfeiting something long term that's actually even just as important. So let's go. Does the drawbacks outweigh the benefits? So do the drawbacks outweigh the benefits? So that means the negatives. Does it outweigh the positives, right? Does this solve a long-term problem or just a short-term one? And this is one of the things I was now talking to you about. So sometimes you get the quick win, right? You get the quick win, you get the hire, you fill the secretarial spot, you fill the CFO spot, you get that quick win. But what it does is it messes you up long-term. So you have to really think, right? Before you make certain pivots and certain changes and you abandon certain ideas, I want you to weigh the long term and the short term of that decision. Because when you weigh the long term and the short term, you're going to ask yourself, does it even make sense to take this route? And the fourth and final questions, do you have better options right now? Because is this idea that you're so committed to, right? Is this the only option? And is this the better option? Or are there other options? Have you even explored other options? Did you research other options? Or are you just saying this because you have an emotional attachment, or you have an ego problem, or you have a confidence issue? Why are you so attached to this idea? So this is the thing. I want to bring in scripture here because it's really important, right? And it says, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth for those things which are before, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. But I want you to focus on these words. Forgetting what's behind had to happen first before, number 2, you could reach ahead, and number 3, you could press. So it means then momentum comes firstly with abandonment. Abandonment of good ideas. Until you release good ideas, you cannot harness your energy toward the thing that will actually work. So you have to let that go. You have to make space. You have to make room. And it means you have to abandon that good idea. And when I say abandon, some parts may be salvageable and can be repurposed in my case. But sometimes you literally have to just walk away. Literally. Whether it's a personal relationship, whatever it is, sometimes you literally have to walk away. Because you are messing up your energy and therefore messing up your focus. So, I have some action steps for you. So, how do you stop wasting energy on good ideas? Let's start. The first thing, you have to clarify your destination. You're never going to recognize an idea won't work until you actually know what the goal is. What is the goal? Right? If you don't know where you're going, you'll never know which route to take. So saying no is actually easier when you know the things that you want to say yes to in the first place. Right? Number 2, you need to evaluate present benefits. So what's working right now? What's producing results in today's environment? Like where do I have results? Number 3, evaluate future benefits. So which idea positions you to grow into the next season of your life and business? Not just survive this one. Now, as I read this question, let me tell you, I'm thinking about my own life. And I'm telling you, I had to literally make a survival decision versus a thriving decision. Because survival decisions, they are driven by impatience and fear. I want you to understand this. When you're making a decision just to survive, just to get over, just to get by, you could really cut yourself short of the growth that you can achieve and even the potential that you can harness. So sometimes you have to literally dig into yourself. Am I just trying to survive, or is my higher aim and higher goal to actually thrive? I don't just want to get out of this season. I want sustainability. I want longevity. I want impact. And when you're trying to take your company and your business there, you are going to have to abandon many good ideas. The next one, name what you're grieving. Sometimes we are scared to label things, but I'm noticing when you label it, you can actually let it go. Label to let go, label to let go, label to let go. So you have to acknowledge the emotional attachment, the sunk costs, the identity ties. Why are you so wrapped up in this? Does this really serve the version of you that you are and that you are becoming? Ask yourself that. Grieve it so you can release it. And the fifth and final point I have for you is reinvest your energy intentionally. You've got to reinvest it intentionally now. This is not the time to spend all the energy, right, in something that's no longer working. There was this account where this leader who was really precious and dear to some people, he had led them for a number of years, he died. And then another leader came in. And those people, right, had literally 30 days to mourn that previous leader and start to work under the tutelage and leadership of the new leader. And sometimes in life, you don't have a year to grieve, especially when you're a high-level achiever. We don't get that. Sometimes we have days to pivot and to grieve something and move forward. Not at the expense of our soul, but because some seasons prioritize movement and momentum more than anything else. And so I want to remind you that it's okay to recognize an idea is good, but it's not great or it's not best. For this season, you've gotten better information. And it means now you have to detach yourself from something you were really, like me, passionate and committed about, because I have higher information. I can't go along this path anymore. And if this is you and you're like, this video really helped me, I want you to join an exclusive community I have. It's a private community. It's called Unstoppable Tribe. And it's for high-level achievers like you, a leader, a CEO, an entrepreneur, because I help you reclaim time, energy, and focus so that you can build a life and business you love. Because we need to get out of the grind and begin to achieve greatness. But sometimes what I've recognized is you grow faster when you're among like-minded people, people who are at your level and further than you, because you get to be pushed and propelled to another level. So if this is you, I want you to click that link below. It's really easy to join. Very, very easy. But get in the tribe. I share far more value in there than here. So get in that tribe today. And thank you for watching as you move from stop to unstoppable, so that you, a high-level achiever, can begin to profit with peace. Take care of yourself.